I think that's because essentially what you're talking about in the advice that you're giving is the way any business should be, quite honestly, planned, right? Like you're coming
Yes.
in here, what's the overall demographic of people that I want to target? Okay. And now of that demographic, is there a smaller group? And then is there a smaller group? And I would say that on average, you should probably start with like 3 levels. So I'll give you a personal example. So for my business, my consulting business that I started when I was 23, it was so important even at that young to figure out, okay, me looking at myself as 23,
Hmm.
okay, I'm in high performance psychology. Awesome. You can work with pros, Olympians, high level athletes. You can work with athletes, firefighters, police officers, combat forces, so on, and performers, musicians, dancers, that sort of thing.
Right.
Which one made the most sense for me in terms of, well, what would be the easier demographic for me to get into, as well as, I got to narrow it down a little bit. So narrowed it down to just athletes, right? To
Right.
start, just athletes to start. And then I said, even a step further, I said, okay, now within this group of athletes, or within all the athletes in the world, which ones are the most being underserved right now? Right. And I found that elite youth sport athletes, right? Everybody in my line of work, they want to do, they want to work with the Olympians and they want to work with the pros, right? Nobody
Right.
wants to work with the kids, right? And so that's the demographic that I targeted, and the business, grew, doubled and tripled itself year over year. But none of that would have happened without taking a very targeted approach and sitting down on the front end. I mean, even before Cree started his stream,
Yeah.
we basically wrote out a business plan, right? And a big part of that is, well, who do we want to attract, right? And
Yeah. Your
because then
target
now,
audience.
once you get that, everything's easier.
Oh
The way
God.
you
Yeah. I
talk
agree
about your
completely.
business is like, once I identified that I want to work with youth athletes, the
Hmm.
way I talked about my business was easier. The way I found that the value that my business was going to add was a hell of a lot easier. The way that I marketed it was easier, right? So
Yes.
there's absolutely, so again, I preach just get started, but then you really got to figure out, okay, you got to start the strategy on the front end, right? Because otherwise you just kind of flail and swim and kick and scream in the deep end, before you even really get your legs under you. And you might quit before you get your legs under you. You got to start off a little smaller, be way more targeted than what most people are.
No, you're right. Having a target audience for those that are wanting to know some of this makes your whole endeavor on streaming more valued. You're going to have a purpose, and when you, like Topty said, you'll have a topic to talk about, and you won't stumble over your words. You'll know exactly what to say and how to respond to things.